So, hello there, good people on YouTube. Gabi here again. Today with a different kind of video than I normally post, because normally I do these full build videos, but making them is very time consuming, and so is guitar building, and I want to have some time for other activities that I'm planning on doing. So in order to still give you some content about guitar building, I thought I might deal with the questions, some of the questions I'm constantly getting about my guitar building process. So instead of filming a whole build in which you can see me do the single steps only for a short period of time, I thought I might post a series of videos in which I show one step, how I do it in detail, so that those of you who want to check out if that could be the way for them could simply try it themselves. In this video I'm going to talk about how I do my arm bevels, and I've changed my procedure over time with that, and now I've reached something that I think does the job for me quite nicely and efficiently. Yeah, and I'll show you how I do it. Currently I'm building a couple of guitars, and the people who want me to build those guitars for them all want arm bevels. I'll show you how I do it, and you can be part of the journey if you care to watch the video. In the meantime, as always, stay healthy, enjoy, and please be a good person. So let's get started with building an arm bevel. So the first thing that you need for making a bevel is a big enough piece of wood to cover this area. Of course you can have a big chunk, but since I'm into upcycling and using materials, cut-off materials, I'm doing that with a piece that I put together from different other pieces of wood. So, since you're not going to see that anyway, and it is just there as a support for the bevel, I think it's good enough to use this base wood. In that case, any other light-weighted material will help. So I cover the area that the arm bevel support will be under, and then I simply trace the rim of my guitar sides to the actual bevel material. And if I'm not wrong, I have this curve here. I will basically have I think it's about 4 centimeters wide strip. It doesn't matter exactly, but what you have to make sure is that once this goes in later, you have to have enough room for the bevel itself to be cut off, and of course for gluing the top on and gluing the bevel to the sides. But that's all. So from that we're going and taking it to the bandsaw, where I'll cut out this shape. Okay, the next step is clamping the piece into a position a bit proud of the actual rim, so that I've got a bit more material that allows for doming later. And this dry run I will mark the position of the lower edge of my bevel. No, it's too bright here. Like so, it's better. Yes, yes, yes. Like so. Okay, and then again, I take a pen, if I've got one, then I take this one. And then I mark the lower edge of my bevel. This is important. This is important because later, when I cut off the side to the desired shape, before I glue in the bevel, I know where to place it. Because I don't have the top rim anymore as a guide line. So here we go. And now I've got my line here, and later I know this is where I have to put my bevel. I'm going to cut away a piece of material here for making for this side of the bevel. So next I've got this template for the top. So that I can see how far I will go with the actual angle. So the bevel comes into the guitar here and basically here, somewhere in the heel block. Okay, this distance should be equal to the one I'm taking off on the side so that I get my 45 degree. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring that, and I've got 1.2 millimeters at the deepest spot here. Let's check again. Yes, so I transfer this to the side in order to see how deep I can go. And I do that in a couple of places. Here I've got 1.1. Another one here, 0.7. Edges here, and same for the other side. Oops, I shifted it, that's no good. Come back. So 1.2 also. And another one here, 0.7 also. So here we go. Okay, so in the next step, I'm simply connecting the dots in an even line with some masking tape. To the points where the bevel merges with the binding. And now I have got an even bevel line that I can correct if I need to. I think I might go a bit earlier in the curve here, like so. And there we are. Check it out one more time. Now it looks very even to me, at least. Okay, so that's the line until which I have to take down material. Okay, and for that I'm using mini planes. So that was that. The next step would be to work on the bevel, bring it to fine shape, and then in the end glue it to the side so that I have got what I need for continuing. Before that, I will shape this curve accordingly. I will take off a lot of material on the downside, so basically that if you cut through the bevel like this, you would have a small rim here and a small rim there, and all the material in between, or most of the material, goes away. I need some for the actual edge that I will create here. But that was that. Now the body is prepared for that, and I can continue with the bevel itself. And then a bit of hand sanding. And the next thing, is gluing the bevel in place. And since I've got an edge here, an angle, it may be hard to clamp it to the side because you can't attach a clamp here. There are different ways of solving that problem, but I do it by simply drilling some holes here and putting it in screws that I can use as a surface for applying even pressure to the sides of the guitar. So let's do that. Maybe we don't need that, but we will see. Okay, later I will close those holes with sawdust and some glue. And since they're on the inside of the guitar, you're not going to see them anyways. So if you have a problem with that as a cosmetic issue, then you will have to think of a different solution, namely putting the block in once it's still square. And then you have to work off all the material here inside the guitar, which I don't find very attractive. This is why I do it this way. Or you could make yourself a jig to put even pressure to that angled side of the bevel. We don't do this is okay if I don't do it without that one. Maybe here another one. Oops, hello. Don't waste your time. Always searching for those wasted years. So. Hakaka. Across the 7 seas. Funny how it is. You never miss it till it's gone away. Oh, but my heart is lying there. I'll be to my dying day. This was not such a clever move of mine. So long, understand. Don't waste your time always searching for those wasted years. Face up, make a stand, and realize you're living in the golden years. Got too much time on my hand. You on my mind. Can't ease this eyeglasses. Can't ease this pain. So easy indeed. When you can't find the words to say, it's hard to make it through another day. Let's go on just one side first. So long. So easy when you can't find the words to say. It's hard to make it through another day, and it makes me wanna cry and throw my head up to the sky. So long, maybe two. Not such a great idea, not bad, but not the real one I want, and now maybe the small one. Don't waste your time always searching for it. Face up, make you stand, and realize you living in the high. Ein bisschen zu tief gesetzt, kann das sein? Anyways. Here we go. Too much time on my hand. Get you on my mind. Can't ease this pain. So easy when you can't find the words to say. Trying to make it through another. Makes me wanna cry. And here goes the rest. I of the curving. Das ist das andere Stück. What have I there? There I have put you. Isn't it? Oh, denke ich hier. Too much time in my hand. Get you on my mind. Is this pain? So easy when you can't find the words to say. So the next step is to radius. So first I'm checking out if my neck angle is correct, which seems to be the case. And for those of you who are wondering why this is important for the bevel, this has to do with the fact that if I don't have to work in this area anymore, I'm ready to put on the binding here, and this is the next step actually in making the bevel. I will install the binding plus the purfling and some extra wood that will be sacrificial in the process, but you'll see soon how that goes. Okay, so let's get on with this binding channel. Okay, this is the person that I'm building this guitar for. want some bling bling, I'm going to install a purfling strip of abalone around this edge. And this works well for in the channel that I cut for this, but here on the side where I have the bevel, my top is taller than the abalone strip that I have here, so I need to feed something under it, a strip of wood to level it up so that I have got an even height here, and I can put on this abalone. And for that I do have a strip prepared that I will put around here that will work as a base for or a basis for my purfling. So let's do that. Oops, very professional. I'm going to do that with some super glue because I don't want it to be so messy, for one, and two, the stability of that will be sufficient enough. Isn't this? You put it down. Okay. So, leave that be for a few minutes and then we're good to go for the purfling. You can give it, I can take it, cause that's just how it's gonna be. It's gonna take a lot to break it, and I know tonight. Just like Jessie James. In the next step I'm preparing the binding. It needs to be thinner where it goes down to bevel so that I can bend it down. I have already taken away quite a lot of material, but I need to go and take a couple more passes, I guess. Always checking up with the guitar if I'm on a good way or not. Okay, there's some more. Okay. So the next step, as I said, is to install the binding. I thinned it out here in the area where it runs along the bevel, and it gets taller towards where it merges into the real binding. So let's see how that goes. First of all, I will have to check out my length, where to cut, and I do that in a dry fit. And here I need the support of these pins. The plasticky ones are not so good because they often break, or when you use CA glue they stick to the wood itself. So I ordered some that are more sustainable, made of wood, but for now these have to do. I think this is the trickiest part here, to make the bevel go down but not move away from where it already sits. So like this. Most likely we will have to use a clamp here. So that is just for measuring the length where I have to make my cut. So. Okay, the next step is adding some sacrificial wood of the same material that I made the binding of, to next to the purfling and next to the binding. This will be cut at an angle, and on this is where the actual bevel will sit, because I don't want it to sit on the binding. I want the binding to show, so I need to add an extra layer of wood here and here that I can then cut for the final veneer to go on. This is what I'll be doing now. This will work. Just like, also Klebestreifen wahrscheinlich eher. Just like Jesse James. You can get there. Match tonight. That's right. You think you knock me on the feet, turning flat on the floor, till my heart is crying and begging for more. So come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Show me what a gun is for. If you can give it out, I can take. Bam. Okay, next step, start shaping the bevel. Start shaping the bevel. Here I'm marking where the edges of the sacrificial wood that the bevel veneer is going to sit on are, so that I can cut my piece of veneer using this tape as a template for the actual veneer. And I cut it a bit oversized so that I've got some wiggle room. Oops. Okay, I'm looking for the best position to catch most of the flame of this flame maple, so that it goes with the flame maple on the binding and it merges nicely into the binding and the other way around, so that you don't see much of a transition from the bevel into the binding, or from the binding into the bevel. In this next step, both the veneer and the bevel get a thin layer of wood glue that will sit there on the pieces for about an hour before I put the veneer onto the bevel. In former times, I used to glue the veneer on and then apply some pressure with rubber bands from a bike hose. But these days I'm simply ironing it on, which is much easier, less messy, controllable. So for that I'm putting glue on both parts, the guitar, the bevel itself and the veneer, and I let that sit for about an hour before I come back and then iron it on with a hot iron. I'm pre-fitting the veneer in order to make sure that all of the bevel is covered with it, and it will stick a bit already, but you can remove it in case you need to make any corrections. And when I'm happy with the position, I go over it with the iron set to its hottest setting, which is at the cotton temperature, and then I move over the bevel a couple of times, multiple times actually, over the edges, so that I make sure that I've got good adhesion.
And this is the reason why it is important that when you're shaping your bevel that you have a flat surface on it. So basically it doesn't matter what angle you have, but it should be flat, because the iron has a flat surface and you want the veneer to sit on every part of the bevel. If you have any humps or bumps, of course that might be possible, but might be difficult, and you might get some air pockets or glue pockets between the bevel and the veneer, which you don't want. After I'm done with the ironing, I use tape in order to keep it in that position, which is basically not necessary, I think, but it gives me a better feeling that in the time when the glue cools down and hardens again, the veneer is kept in place. And here I'm getting rid of the excess material. And with this it works really, really well here, but you have to be careful, because if you have extremely figured wood like this flame maple is, it can be difficult, because you're working against the grain. You will have to find a way of cutting it without producing tear out, which is why you have to go at it from different angles. So I'm using a chisel and a knife for that, and then of course when that's done I go on with sanding. This gives me very clean edges on both sides, the top and the sides. Okay, and in the end, of course, there is some hand sanding, because you want to make sure that you're not too aggressive about this and don't sand through the veneer. So you want to be in control, and this is what I use my hands for. Because if you do sand through the veneer, you will have to take it off and make a whole new piece.
And here it basically is, the finished bevel. I will round over the edges of the binding now, so that it even goes in more smoothly here where the transition is. Ta-da!
And this is the finished product. So that's how I make bevels.